colors splash. Pins and patches, stories grow, stitching secrets we all know. Patchwork of laughter sewn in time, a spool of joy on every line. We chat, we sew, we laugh, we thrive. Stephen and Walter, our life. Sewing tales with every square, buttons falling everywhere. A crooked seam, but who will care? Iron presses lined so neat, friendships quilt can't be beat. Patchwork of laughter sewn in time, a spool of joy on every line. We chat, we sew, we laugh, we thrive. Stephen and Walter, our life. Sewing tales with every square, buttons falling everywhere. A crooked seam, but who will care? Iron presses lined so neat, friendships quilt can't be beat. Patchwork of laughter sewn in time, a spool of joy on every line. We chat, we sew, we laugh, we thrive. Stephen and Walter, our life. Our life.
Stitch by stitch they weave the tale, a patchwork life where laughs prevail. Patterns clash, but who can tell? Quilted chaos suits us well. Stephen and Walter live on air, threading humor, they don't care. Teaching, chatting, pulling strings, life's a quilt of funny things. Pins and needles, jokes abound, sewing secrets they have found. Fabric flying all around, it's a show where joy is bound. Stephen and Walter live on air, threading humor, they don't care. Teaching, chatting, pulling strings, life's a quilt of funny things. Pins and needles, jokes abound, sewing secrets they have found. Fabric flying all around, it's a show where joy is bound. Stephen and Walter live on air, threading humor, they don't care. Teaching, chatting, pulling strings, life's a quilt of funny things. Pins and needles, jokes abound, sewing secrets they have found. Fabric flying all around, it's a show where joy is bound. Pins and needles, jokes abound, sewing secrets they have found. Fabric flying all around.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's live. I got my screen quite right. You're filling up too much of it. kind of like the way you were sleeping last night in the bed. Like, hello, how much of a bed do you need? The whole thing, apparently. But anyways, yeah, enough about the domestic arrangements. So we've got a ton of people coming in here right now today. So let's see who's here. And it's working good. Oops, put that down. Okay, so let's see. Barb Olson was #1 today. The only reason she beat out Russ is because Russ was busy with his sewing shenanigans. Phyllis is here from Australia. And, or is it New Zealand? I get it mixed up, but she'll tell me. Nina is here from Charlotte, North Carolina. And Dan is here with Heidi. 2 Canadians. Heidi lives out in the East Coast, but I guess she's doing a judo instructor class in Regina. So Dana said they're both coming after she goes and picks her up after her class. So not sure when that is, but we will find out. This seems to be okay. I need to tilt this a little bit more. We're looking like we're sitting down in the depths. Okay, Julie is here. Hello, Julie. We've missed you on Wednesday, Julie, but I imagine you were working. Caroline is here. Hello, Caroline. And Judy is here as well. Dubrovka and Al are here. Suzanne is here. And Heather. Grant from Southern California. My Magnolia World, which is Jen. And I believe Jen's in Australia. Mona is here. And Ruth is here. Hello, everyone. Can't wait to find out what we need to talk about today. Well, you will shortly. Patience is a virtue. Virtue is a grace. Grace was a little girl who didn't wash her face. Every time I hear that, a friend from way back used to say that all the time. Gloria is here as well. And Christine from Fenland Falls. Faith is here. Hi, Faith. And Barbara. And John from Art East is here. Hi, John. And John, I don't know if you got it or not, but I sent you an email a few days ago. So if you take a look for it and then let me know an answer to that. Not right here. You can do that later through email. Karen is here from Vancouver, USA. Wishing it was Canada. Yeah. We're going to talk about that. Donna is here. Judy is here. Linda is here from Iowa. Sue Norfleet is here, of course. Frozen from the frozen banks of the Missouri River. Okay, yeah, they were getting it's a little cool down there today. Francis is here from Ireland. And Sherry is here from MT Montana, Sherry? Wendy is here from Pontypool. From way up Pontypool, not far from us. Shadowwind is here as well. And of course, there is Russ. And he had a productive Sunday. And Crocus Photographer is here. Kathy from, another Regina, right? Reginanian? Or Reginian? I'm not sure. And Karen. And Bonnie is here as well. And Judy. And, John says you responded. I never got it, John.
Oh.
Or did you just respond 2 minutes ago? Because I don't have my email up on that. But send it again, please, and just double check you got the right email address. I mean, if you just put it as a reply, it should have come through. But I'll check my spam. It shouldn't have gone into spam. But I will check that. Johanna is here. And... that's good, John, to know. Okay, I'll be in touch with more details. Well, we can discuss what details there are to discuss. It's a mystery, people. I cannot reveal. Pam from Minnesota is here. Judy from Michigan. Cheryl says yes. And okay, I have a short memory.
Yes, from Montana.
Oh, from Montana. Okay, well, you're supposed to be this, you're supposed to be catching up and doing that instead of standing there staring into space like whatever. Okay, well, that's great. Everybody is here. So nice to see everybody. So let's get right into things. Let's start with what we've been working on. Walter is wearing his latest creation. Just
That's what I was
finished it.
marking on yesterday.
Yes, we had a sew day, Walter's group, but I'd go there now too. Brendan, I guess we should call it Brendan Sew Day or whatever.
Yeah.
And you finished it up then too. So, and there's Adam, he's here, and Denise is here, and Evelyn's here. So yeah, his lovely new shirt. There's only one thing about it that I don't like. It's on him. It'd be better on me. But
This is the one where I screwed up the collar and had to fix it.
And lo and behold, now, you know, like I've got about, I don't know how many shirts you've made me, 15 or so. I got a lot.
No, I think you have over 20.
Oh,
No, maybe 15.
No,
I don't know.
I don't need to count. But anyways, one of his earliest shirts, the other day I went to put it on, and there's a big hole in the side underneath the arm, like the seam is let go. Now, why did that happen?
Probably because I wasn't very good at seams in those days.
Well, you said that was before you were using a serger.
Yeah, I was doing something called flat felled seams, and I was having trouble with them when I was doing it. So it's there's likely that it will let go.
Yeah. Right. Well, not very likely. It did let go. But anyways, that's the only
And
one
actually,
that's ever happened to
the
it.
flat felled seams I had the most problems with them when I was putting sleeves in. So
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, that shirt doesn't owe me anything because
No.
I have worn it a lot since, and that was one of your early shirts. So, I mean, if you get around to fixing it, that's fine. If you don't, you'll just have to make me another one to replace it. I think that would be good. Yeah. Yeah. A few more people have come in. Jennifer is here. Likes your shirt, Walter. So does Dubrovka. Charlotte's here. And I mentioned Adam and Betty is here. Gloria is here. She loves the shirt. And East Coast Kim is here as well. And she says it's amazing. And Betty says, hope you're staying warm, 23 here in Eastern Ohio. And that would be Fahrenheit, I assume. Here it is -5 Celsius.
what you say, 23? That's the same as us. -5
Oh, -5 is 23.
23.
Oh, okay. So there we go. We're all frozen to death. Denise is here. Hello, Denise. So that's what Walter was working on yesterday. I was working on what I'm about to show you yesterday, if I can find my picture. And that's not the one. And why does this? Oh, here we go. Okay. Blow it up. There we go. Okay, my Quilt of Valor. It is almost finished. Quilt math hard, but I was able to figure it out and it all worked out great. I'm very happy with it. Now there's one more small border that's going to go on it all the way around the outside, and then the top is done, and then I can get it quilted. And I am going to try to write this one up as a pattern, and I'm going to do a second one to test the pattern, but it won't be necessarily a Quilt of Valor, because I'm going to write the pattern in such a way that you can work with any panel that you wish for the center with this one, and I'll do it in a different color scheme in the whole bit, but this will be donated to Quilts of Valor. And if the pattern works out okay and everything, my plan is to donate the pattern, if they'll have it, to Quilts of Valor to put in their shop so they can make some money on it as well. So I am not going to offer this one as a free pattern until I find out whether that's workable to donate it to Quilts of Valor. But as I said, I've got one more border to go on it, and then I have to get it on Lucy and get it quilted. So I'm very pleased with myself, because quilt math, hard, very hard. Okay, so there's that, and I got caught up on my UFOs, and I'll just show you some of them. They're blasts from the past. Okay, now I did this one, not that long ago. It's just orphan blocks that I just threw together. It's random, everything is weird, and that's what it is. But I kind of like it.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting.
It's interesting to look at. And I did Lucy was very cooperative. You can see the quilting on it as well. So that was a UFO. It is all done. And the other UFO was this one, which was actually a reject. If you remember way back, this is one of my pattern designs. And I got it almost completely done. And Walter said, what happened there? And if you look at each of the corners up here on the sort of the 3/4 stars or where are those blocks, you'll notice I got one block, at least I was consistent, in each of those turned the wrong way. So they look like little sailboats rather than stars. So I decided to redo the entire quilt anyways.
Well, at least it's consistent all the way
Yeah, it's
around.
consistently wrong. I redid that whole quilt, and I did that a long time ago and did it correctly in a different colorway. But I thought, well, I'm not going to throw it out. So I finally got around to quilting it. And this one has a new name. I call it Starboats with it. But it's still a colorful quilt. It's a great little lap quilt. So yeah, no sense crying over one little square, one little half square triangle. So that's what I've been up to as well. And as I said yesterday, we were off to Sew Day with his people.
Yeah, put the comments on so I can see them.
Oh, fine. Just so picky, 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 picky. Are you happy now? There you go.
Yeah.
Skadam it. Welcome. Likes the orphan block. Great. Jeannie's here. Hi, Jeannie. And Philippa's here. Hi, Philippa.
Yeah, hi, Philippa.
Hope you're doing okay, Philippa. Donna's here as well. She loves your shirts, Walter. Always do an amazing job. Yes, he does. Let's see. Starboat, yeah. Elizabeth says she's here. Hope you're having a great day of sewing. Well, we did when we were on Russ's, but that's all over now. But anyways, so what was we talking about here? I want to make sure I say hello to everybody because that's what I always do. So UFOs are done. Quilt of Valor's done. Your shirt's done. What's your next project?
Well, I have another shirt on the go because I started it yesterday, but I'm not really concentrating on that one because I want to look at some other things that I want to
Like
look
what?
at. Well, I wouldn't mind making what do you call it, a sweater jacket or whatever.
Oh,
But I got to look up a pattern for that and figure out what material I'm using.
yeah. Well,
I do have some material for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I've already started another potential Quilt of Valor, but it's on the embroidery machine. And I don't know how it's going to work out, if it's going to be soft enough when I'm done to actually make it as a quilt. Or I'm also thinking it's a series of panels, and I'll show them later in another couple of weeks or so. I just got started on it. But oftentimes when you do in the hoop machine embroidery, the blocks are very stiff. They're more meant for wall hangings than for quilts. And so I want something that will be a soft quilt. But I might use some of these panels that I'm doing as part of a larger Quilt of Valor. I might actually use them in a certain way, like a panel kind of thing. Put them together that way. I don't know. I have to wait and see. It's something I'm experimenting with. Okay, so sewing with Stephen on Wednesdays as usual. Everybody knows the drill for that. Links in the show notes, always is. And let's see, so Chatty this week. We talked about, and this was another topic suggested by one of you, about men invading the sewing world, as I called it. So that's what we talked about on Friday.
Yeah,
And-
because was it our Sew Day only had 2 women at it yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were 4 guys, so
Yeah. Mind you, it's kind of a special setting for it because it's in a gay club. But yeah, but more and more men are involved, of course, in sewing. But it's also the whole dynamics have changed of that.
yeah, but
And-
our gay club is for women and men.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, people instantly assume it's all men. But yeah, the whole thing yesterday that we talked about was, now that quilting for men has come out of the closet, so to speak, more and more men are, not afraid to walk into a quilt store and buy fabric for themselves, or come in with their wives and help them pick out stuff.
In
And
fact, we were in the quilt store a little while ago, and there was a guy in there with his wife, and he says,
yeah,
I quilt too.
yeah. So yeah, and there's a lot of husband and wife teams. You know, I know several where she pieces, he does the long arming, and so that's great. You know, team effort. I'm trying to get Walter involved in that. We'll see how that works out. Keeps saying he wants to do that, wants to learn on Lucy. I said, well, there she is.
Yeah.
Go for it. Go for it. I even have cheater cloth in there you could try out.
Actually, I have a couple of unpieced
Unpieced.
quilts.
Unpieced.
Yeah, once they haven't sewn the blocks together, so
Oh, do you? Oh,
maybe I should do
maybe
that.
you should do that. And then you get it on the long arm. Yeah. So, let's see. Speaking of sewing days, next pop-up sew day is probably going to be on the last Saturday in January, which is January the 31st. I'm pretty sure that's when it's going to be. I will put out the information about all of that the week before in all of my videos and everything. So right now you can probably start coloring in your penciling if you're penciling that in. What else? Okay. Sew day yesterday was fun. We they don't get started very early.
No, we don't. It starts at 10, and then we end up sitting there and chatting for a while.
For about an hour.
Yeah,
Or
and
longer.
then and then we get busy working.
Then it takes us another hour to get our stuff set up. And then by then it's getting time to pack it up and leave. But yeah, I found it very productive yesterday.
Well, it's actually I think it's a little bit more social than
Yeah.
necessarily productive. So.
Well, it's a small group. Although there was one lady who showed up and I still don't know what she was working on, but she wasn't sewing. She was actually weaving, but not with a loom or anything. Just sort of doing some sort of braiding or hand thing with
she
fibers.
had these they almost looked like perler beads or something that she was getting her boyfriend or somebody to,
there was a guy there that was
to help sort that stuff out for her.
Yeah, so I wasn't really sure what she was doing. I didn't really
go
over and talk to her.
Yeah.
I listened to what she was saying about stuff and whatnot, but busy with other things. So we're diversifying in the group. Quilter, garment sewing, and now beaters or
there is sometimes somebody else that shows up. We have a core group that shows up all the time, and then once in a while somebody else joins. So
yeah, so it's open to anybody who wishes to be there. I kind of look forward to them now because they're in person and it's kind of nice for a change. It's a different group of people than what I'm used to through my sew days and pop-up sew days. Not saying that they're better or worse or anything like that. No, just a different group of people, different faces. And, you know, you never know what they're making.
The only problem is that you got to lug your stuff there. And,
well, yeah, it's a bit of a pain in the butt. But now that you have your wonderful bag for your serger that I bought you for your birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about an update on the spring retreat. Okay, of course, I'm still having it, but I'm running into a little bit of a brick wall. I have sent out quite a few notes asking for people if they'd be willing to be a presenter. I'm trying to find people that I've never had before and that I think people would find really interesting. And many of them are ones that you have suggested to me. And I'm getting no responses. Like nothing.
Maybe they're all going to your spam like John's.
Maybe. I don't know. I did get one response from one person, and I'm very pleased that she's going to be one of my presenters. I'm not going to tell you who that is right yet. I did get a response from another person who just, her assistant sent me the response. Okay, right there. You know that if they have an assistant, they're too big for my retreat. But it was a very nice response. Just said they were really booked up through the whole year. And I saw their web page. And yes, this is one busy person. That was the one from Stitching with Susan, I think. And that was a suggestion. I wasn't familiar with her, but that was a suggestion from one of you. And so, but that was nice that I got a response. The other ones, I don't know. I mean, okay, if you're busy or whatever, that's fine. Could you take a minute or two and just very quickly just say, thank you very much for thinking of me, but unfortunately I won't be able to do that. And that's fine. Don't leave me hanging.
John just says check your spam because he did send it.
Okay, I will do that, John. Why it would have gone in the spam, I have no idea. That's weird. But anyways, I'll let you know, John.
He uses simpatico, so he seems to have problems with it.
No, I don't.
You should do.
No, I don't.
Who do you use?
I use simpatico.
Yeah, I know, but you always seem to have trouble with your email.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't. You make up stories. He does this. Yeah. Just loves to stick it in and turn it. Yeah. All the time. So anyways, yeah, John, I'll get back to you on that. Let's see. So spring retreat, if you have other suggestions for people, I don't care who they are. And if you've got, one thing is I would really like them to have a YouTube channel. And the reason for that is, it's the only way I can check them out before I send them, if I think they're appropriate for the retreat or not. I just don't want to blindly send one to somebody that I don't know anything about or what they do, because, who knows what I could get. It may not be a good mix. But send it to me either as an email or put it in the show notes below for any of my videos, because I check those every day. And I'll consider them for sure. Okay, so Chatty this week. We've already talked about men invading the sewing world, but one thing I do want to ask is, the topics we have had lately in So Chatty have come from you. And that's great. But I need more. So whatever you've got, it doesn't matter if it's don't second guess it. Because it will give me an idea, and I will do some research. I will put my own spin on the idea as well for us. But I have found that these topics have become really interesting, probably more interesting than what I could come up with. So yeah, please do not hesitate to send those on to me. Okay, what else? Walter's birthday. And speaking of So Chatty, there may or may not be a So Chatty this week. Reason being is we are going into Toronto for 2 nights, and we're going on Thursday and coming back sometime on Saturday. And so we usually record So Chatty on Friday, and we won't be here on Friday to do that. Now, I am playing with the idea of doing it earlier in the week. It would be scheduled for Friday. So it would be, you would know it would be on Friday. But we would have to probably do it on Tuesday.
So is that a problem?
Well, it's not a problem for me. It's your schedule. Your assistant, is a bitch and never wants to coordinate with my assistant, who's just absolutely wonderful and extremely flexible.
We could even do it on Thursday morning if we wanted to, if I got up early enough.
Yeah, there's the operative word. Well, we may. So there may be a So Chatty this week. There may not be. But if there isn't a So Chatty this week, you know why, because we're going into Toronto. So what are we going to do when we're in Toronto? We don't know. We're going to be touristy.
We are going to, Dubrovka wants us to let her know what the keg in Toronto was like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
we'll do a review.
Yeah. I have a friend that I talk to sometimes, and he says that that's his favorite keg. So
yeah, I mean the keg in general, we love the keg out here, but we've never been to the one in Toronto, to the mansion. So this will be an experience with that. But we're also going to possibly check out Little Canada, which is a whole miniature village of all places in Canada and everything. It looks fascinating. We've looked at it online. It's huge. So we may do that. And I don't know. It's all going to depend on the weather too, for that matter.
Yeah.
Where we go, because we're going to be on foot. We're not taking the car in. We're taking the GO train, the commuter train. For those of you that don't know what the GO train is, from here into Toronto. It's just easier because driving around downtown Toronto is almost impossible. because it's just,
Well, not only that, the hotel we're staying in, the parking garage isn't very high, so
Yeah.
I may have to find another spot to park, and my car just barely will squeak by if we use their spot. But and as I recall, we've stayed there before.
yeah.
Their parking garage is not great.
No, it's not great, and it's also like $40 a night
Mm.
as well. So I mean,
We don't plan to. The taking the train's actually very easy. So
it's very easy. If the weather is not the nicest, it's very easy to get up to our hotel because we can take the subway from the train station right
Yeah,
up
like
to a block within a block of the
I
hotel.
think the train runs every 20 minutes. So
Yeah. So it's easy enough to get around that way in Toronto. But to drive your car in downtown Toronto these days,
I've driven
Not good.
down there lots of times, but it's
not recently.
No, not recently, but the roads haven't changed.
Well, no, but the situation in downtown has.
Yeah,
Everything is dug up.
yeah,
And
sure.
snow removal in downtown Toronto sucks.
Yeah,
So, we've had a lot of snow lately, so that's all there as well. And yeah, it isn't a pleasant experience in driving into downtown
no, I'd
Toronto.
rather just take the train. It's easier.
Yeah. Donna says happy birthday.
We also have a seniors discount.
Okay.
It's half price for us.
Oh, it's Donna. Look, Donna, we haven't seen you on here.
Oh, Donna, wow.
Yeah, wow. The Donna. Yeah. Let's make fun of her. No. So, yeah, that's why So Chatty may or may not be on this week because we're gallivanting. So, speaking of snow, we did have snow. And I took a few pictures of what that snow looks like. Now, you have to remember, like, Dubrovka's here from Timmins. She just will just laugh at this because, Timmins, they get a lot of snow. Where did the picture go? I had it, then I lost it. Like so many things that I'm losing. Okay, come on. This is what I want. Let me hit that button. And go this way. This one's the one I want to show first. Okay, so this is from the Ring camera. The other day what was that, Thursday when we had the dump or Wednesday?
Yeah.
Thursday. I think it was Thursday.
Maybe. Yeah.
Thursday we had the dump. So there's what it was looking like in the front of our house. You can't see our driveway because it's buried. Walter wasn't out there with his snowblower yet. But it's also kind of pretty. If you take a look here in our backyard, which is a forest, there, it is very pretty. But a lot of it. And there was, after I took this picture, it was still snowing. We still got more and more. But it's winter in Canada. But I thought you might like to see what winter in Canada looks like. And this isn't even the part of Canada that gets like a lot more snow than us. Yeah. This is like considered nothing in terms of other places. So yeah, I thought you'd like to see that. Let's go here. Let's go back here so you can see the comments. And where are the comments? What's happened here?
It says not connected.
Where does it say that?
The corner. You're not connected. Where is it?
Where are you seeing this? Well, I am connected. Okay, I should come back here in a second. Okay, I think we're back. I think we're back. I don't hear anything.
Somebody just says you're back.
Okay, why don't I hear anything? Okay, why don't I hear anything? Okay, there we go. All right. Wait, no. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay.
Hello?
Hello. I don't know. So, are you guys okay? You can see us. Can you hear us? Let us know. Can you hear us? Going back, it looks great. Okay, but can you hear us? There's a time delay, of course. I don't know what happened there.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Dubrovka
All
says she can hear us. Okay, everybody does. Okay, good. All right. Okay, good. Everybody's saying yes. All right. I don't know why I can't hear it on our end, but whatever. That's okay. As long as you can see us and you can hear us, that's all that matters. Okay. Let's move on. What were we talking about?
Backyard. We're
Oh, the backyard. We had to show that. Well, that was snow. Yeah, we already did that. Okay, so let's get into the main topic today. Okay. Now, I know there are people out there who don't want to hear any of this stuff. And if you're one of those people, maybe you should leave right now, because we are going to get serious. We are going to get political. Okay? It's been a bad week for Americans and for the world as well. And we know who's causing it. And the thing is, I have seen lots of comments on my channel and other channels where people say they refuse to watch the news. They don't want to know this stuff. It's causing them stress. That is ostrich head in the sand syndrome. Okay? This is one time when we need to know what's going on in the world. And we cannot ignore what's going on in the world right now.
Somebody says I can't hear you. No, I don't know.
Can
Everybody else can hear us, so.
Yeah, so Sherry says she can't hear us. Can everybody else hear us?
Can you turn up the...
I did that, and it's not working. Okay, so Dubrovka, I'm going to ask you, can you hear us right now, Dubrovka? Because Sherry says she can't hear us. She says we're good.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know. If you can't hear us right now, Sherry, it must be at your end. Or you've got a time delay when it wasn't coming through. Yeah, everybody says it's good. Okay, good. Yeah, Adam's got a suggestion there. And so does Julie. Okay, so what were we saying about? Okay, this is all, none of us wants to hear this crap that's going on in the world right now, but we have to. We cannot put our head in the sand and pretend it's not happening, or we don't want to listen to it because it's going to go away. It is not going to go away like that. It's not going to happen. So we're going to go through a few things, and I found a few things that might in some ways give us hope. Okay? Because we're getting news from all over the place these days. And it's hard to tell what's the truth and what's not the truth. And even the President of the United States and his people are sending out untruths as well. So, you know, I can see why you don't want to listen to it, but we need to. We need to, because we have to keep ourselves as well informed as we can if we're going to do something about it. And when I say we, I am talking about Americans, because although it's affecting us in Canada, although it's affecting Greenland, although it's affecting Venezuela, although it's affecting the rest of Europe and everything, the fact is the source is coming from the United States. Now, I want to also say before we get into this, it is not the American people. The American people are struggling. The American people are not hated by the Canadians. Maybe some. But, you know, the ones who don't think about it. Now, yes, it was American people that put this situation up front, or did they? Because there's a whole lot of other factors there. I mean, just the way that you vote in your president and everything is so complex that it's just not straightforward, you know. And we're not going to get into that discussion because does anybody truly understand how the American system works when it comes to voting for president? We don't in Canada. And I studied it in school and still don't understand it. But it's not the American people. It's gone beyond the American people now. Because he is a tyrant. He is a dictator. He's a fascist. Okay? All of those things. Now, if you're a Trumper on here, you won't like to hear that, but I doubt that there's any Trumpers on here. I think I got rid of most of them a long time ago. I can also understand why certain Trumpers they probably realize that things aren't so good right now, and they probably feel guilty because they were supporting him. But he sucked you in. Okay? He promised you things that have not come true. He promised you lower prices. He promised you more money. He promised you the world. And he has not come through with that. And if anything, he has been eroding the lifestyle of Americans. He's been eroding it bit by bit. The tariffs are making you pay more money for things. Maybe for some of you, you haven't noticed that yet. But a lot of people have. He's taken away your health care. He's made it more expensive for you. And of course, a lot of this is happening to the middle class and the lower class, to the working people. It's not happening to the rich people. Okay? You don't hear them griping about it. But the average American, who is the backbone of American society, are suffering, and it's getting worse. And he's trying to spread that suffering to other parts of the world. So we're going to look at some of this and what I also found about this. So the first thing I said is about the news. Where do we get all the information? Well, so many different places. Mainstream news is not being watched like it used to be. We also have to remember that mainstream news and other ones that spin off from it, what is their main goal? Is their main goal to inform the general public about what is happening? No, it is not. It is meant to make money. It all revolves around what doesn't revolve around the almighty dollar. So, yeah. So people are getting their news from other sources as well. Of course, YouTube. Oh my God. I've heard other people say they've stopped watching YouTube because their feed is filled with all kinds of stuff and they're just sick and tired of hearing it. And I hear you. I'm sick and tired of it too. But you can be more selective. There are some things on YouTube that are more reliable sources than others. If it's coming from MSNBC or what they call themselves now, MS, if it's coming from, for us in Canada, CBC, those are more legitimate news agencies. But if you see one that says Democracy Now, or what's that one that's very, very popular? Media something.
Media's Touch or Media's, something like that.
Media's Touch or something like that. That kind of thing, or all the other names they have for it. You know that these are biased one way or the other, and often many of them, there's been a lot of new YouTube creators that are making their fortune on YouTube right now by setting up these pseudo news programs where they're supposedly telling you, they start with clickbait, right? I saw some today, something about the Nobel Peace Prize, get Trump back or something. Other ones, Trump's about to explode because he's been embarrassed beyond, and all this stuff. And it's all hype. It's the National Enquirer.
Yeah,
if
basically.
you remember that kind of stuff.
If the people remember that.
Yeah, it's that kind of
thing. The Weekly World News.
Yeah, the Weekly World News. It's all that kind of stuff. So you do have to be selective what you watch and you listen to, but you need to watch and listen. So I found a statistic about this, about how many people, since Trump has got in, are still watching the news, or how many people are turning it off. So this is what I found. Since Donald Trump's inauguration in January 2025, news viewership has seen a significant and uneven decline, characterized by a sharp drop in traditional TV audiences and a continued shift toward digital platforms. So it says major viewership trends 25-26. Well, 26, we're only in the first month of it. Declining traditional news engagement. As of late 2025, only 36% of U.S. adults report it following the news, all or most of the time, a steep drop from 51% in 2016. So there's what I was saying about people who say, I'm just not going to watch the news anymore. I've seen comments where people have said their doctor has recommended, because they're feeling anxiety, severe anxiety and stress, to not watch the news because that's what's giving them anxiety and stress. Yeah, I can see that, but I don't think that's good advice. I think you need to be selective and maybe limit what you watch. As I said, you go to YouTube, you're constantly bombarded every second of the day. Every second you're on YouTube, the feed is coming up with something else about it. Maybe pick one or two trusted news agencies that are on YouTube that you trust, and only watch those, and only watch them. Like, I watch one news program. I watch The National, which is Canadian. It's from CBC. It is our major news outlet in Canada, a trusted one. I do trust them. They are serious journalism. And I watch them every morning while I'm doing something else down here. I have them on. And that's really the only one I watch anymore. Occasionally I'll pick up on a couple of commentators that I kind of trust as well, but more for entertainment than anything else. But that's the one, The National, is the one I trust. And it still gives me stress. The world's full of stress right now. We can't avoid it completely, but if you're constantly bombarded with this, then it is going to give you anxiety attacks. Inauguration ratings dropped. The January 2025 inauguration drew approximately 24.6 million viewers, a 27% decline from Joe Biden's 2021 ceremony, and a 20% drop from Trump's 2017 inauguration. But that great pumpkin turned around and said there were millions, biggest turnout. And this is what he says all the time. Everything is bigger and better if he's involved with it. And that's what he keeps repeating over and over again. Something they call network performance divergence. Now, they talk about Fox News. Now, Fox News is one of those scandal ones. Maintained a lead, seeing a surge in early 2025 that led to record-setting quarterly ratings. By the end of 2025, it remained the only major cable news network with year-over-year gains in total day views. Well, why is that? Because they had the Trump supporters watching it. They have every scandal going. It's always against the left. It's always for the right on there. And yeah, and look at record-setting quarterly ratings. What was I saying about the news being big business? There it is. This is how it's been described. CNN and MS Now, formerly MSNBC, both saw substantial losses. Now, those are legitimate news agencies. CNN's primetime viewership fell by 16%, while MS Now's dropped by 15% in total viewers, and a significant 40% in the key 25 to 54 demographic by the end of 2025. So the demographic they're talking about is age group, 25 to 54. And it dropped by 40%. People are tuning out the legitimate news because, again, bombardment from that. So where are you supposed to get your news from? News happens. You cannot avoid it completely. That means you would have to shut off every one of your electronic devices. Never go on the internet. Nothing. Don't turn on a TV set. Don't turn on streaming. Nothing. Don't turn on your radio. All that kind of stuff, because you can't avoid it, but you can be selective about what you can manage your time with social media or with the news. Digital and social media surge. For the first time, social media and video networks, 54%, overtook both TV, 50%, and news websites or apps, 48%, as the preferred news source in U.S. Well, here's the key. People are going to social media for this stuff. Well, YouTube is social media. Facebook is social media. Instagram is social media. Twitter, X, whatever they call it now. All of those are social media, and they all have their quirks. So again, people are tuning into those things because they probably already are on them to start with, and you're being bombarded. As soon as you go into Facebook, you're going to find stuff. The algorithm is going to direct you to maybe some legitimate news, more not so legit. So factors, it said, driving the shift. News fatigue. Surveys from 2024 and 25 indicate that over 60% of Americans feel worn out by political coverage. Thus, when the doctor says, don't watch them, this is probably what his diagnosis is for. Fatigue. We're just constantly bombarded. Eroding trust. Public trust in national news organizations fell by 11 percentage points between March and October 2025. And what I'm saying is, who do we believe? Because there are so many different variations on the same story. So yeah, maybe that's why people aren't watching the news as much. And then they say there's a demographic divide. Younger audiences under 30 have largely abandoned traditional TV news. Approximately 19% in this age group report getting no news from major TV or print sources, turning instead to news influencers. Okay, first of all, younger audiences, this doesn't surprise me. They don't watch the news because it's boring for them, even though right now in this time it's not that boring. But for them, it's boring. They would rather watch what they call news influencers. These are the scandal sheets. They're more interesting. The clickbait is there for them to pick up on. And let's face it, the under 30 crowd, I'm sorry, but they're just stupid when it comes to public affairs. We can blame that on a whole source of different sources, education system, all kinds of different things with that. But let's face it. And if you think back to some of you, maybe when you were under 30, you did watch the news. I didn't really get into watching the news until I was older than 30, a lot older than 30, before I got into watching the news. So I can see why this statistic is there about them under 30. Okay, so before we go on to the next thing here, let's take a look at what people are saying on here. I just need to put it up on our screen so we can see it too. And when I say we, I mean Walter. Okay, let's go. Everything but theory is good. And I had to reboot. Oh yeah, Sherry needed to reboot. Now she can hear everything. That's good. No, Philippa says it keeps dropping out and have to go out and come back in. Okay, well that's a YouTube thing. Sorry about that, but not my fault. Yeah, if you can't, those are old messages now. Yeah, Adam's already telling everybody what to do. Okay, Wendy Fallis left. She was probably a Trumper or doesn't want to hear about the news. So this is what I mean. If that's why she left, this is an example of, what's this coming up on the screen? There we go. This is an example of what I'm saying. People just want to turn it all off. It's not going to go away because you decide you don't want to watch it. That's your choice. If you don't want to watch the news, you don't want to listen to it, you do that. But I think, and what I'm going to talk about in a minute, I think it's important that we keep ourselves as well informed as we possibly can. Because when you're not informed, that's when forces that be can sneak in and take over. You have to be educated. Denise says, can you believe it? Who would have thought it would ever be so? Exactly. Ruth says, support your local NPR. I think that's, what's NPR? Seen that on there. I'm not National Public. I think it's something to do with, private stations, like PBS kind of a thing, but I'm not absolutely sure. Heidi and Diana.
Here I've got Minnesota Public Radio, but I don't know if that's it. Maybe your public radio.
Yes, well, that's because you put in M instead of N.
Oh.
NPR.
Well, I heard NPR from you.
Well, you need to dig the crap out of your ears. Thimblehook is here. And let's see. Denise says, I stopped watching CBC because they are too far left-leaning. I have changed news channels. Well, Denise, I have a feeling that you possibly side with Polyev. And that's a discussion for another day. It's not really in the scope of this because we have our own problems here in Canada with that. I don't think they're too far left, but I think they are a little bit more left-leaning than right. Yeah. And Jennifer says, so important to critically consider the news source and Motivation Nation. And Motivation Nation is behind it. News source and Motivation Nation is behind. Okay. I'm not sure what the second part meant. Jennifer says the National is reliable. I think it is, because I think they look at both sides of the issues here in our Canada and they're, from it. But YouTube is crazy. Questionable news outlets and states. I miss the old days of Walter Cronkite. Yeah, well, that was when the news was really the news. Dana says, I've blocked out the world. I'm watching ER from the beginning. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to agree with anybody that says that they've backed out of this and that what you're saying is I'm an ostrich. I have my head in the hole. I don't want to know. It's not going to go away because you don't want to know. We'll come back to this idea. Phyllis is from Australia. That's what I thought. Jean says on YouTube, you need to click that you are not interested or don't recommend channel, the 3 little buttons on the right. Yes, that's how you can get rid of some of that, Jean, if it works. It doesn't always work. National Public Radio is what it stands for. Okay. And PBS is good too, yeah. Yeah, and so yeah. Let's move on then. All right, let's take a look at what's happening in the world. That someone already said, and you never thought we'd get to this point. Well, guess what? He goes into Venezuela, and we know what happened there. Well, I'm of two minds about that. One, he did take down a dictator that was, not good for the Venezuelan people. However, I also don't know a heck of a lot about the situation in Venezuela as far as, what the lifestyle, how the living conditions are for the people in Venezuela. But Trump went in, all guns blazing, and he wants the oil. It's so loosely disguised. He's going in as though he's this big savior, and he's helping people come to democracy again in Venezuela. No, he's not. He wants the oil that's there, and he's trying to acquire, after all, he comes from real estate, he's trying to acquire property as well. He doesn't give a shit about the average Venezuelan, because if he did, why wouldn't he give a shit about the average American? He has certainly proven that he is not there to help his own people. So on the tail of all of that, then, he goes and he's threatening Greenland again. Like that he can just walk in and take over Greenland. Yeah, Greenland's got 50-some thousand people. It's small, but it is part of Denmark. Denmark owns Greenland.
And they support the people that are on.
Yes.
They provide monetary support. So if the American government were to take over Greenland, would they get support from the American public?
No. I mean, I dare say, sorry, Americans, but I dare say if you were to show Americans a map of the world and say, where's Greenland? I think there'd be some that wouldn't have a clue. Because I know that, because there's some that don't have a clue where the hell Canada is. So, that's sad. But, what he doesn't want, he's saying it's for defense. He already has the defense. The Americans are part of NATO, a major part of NATO. If he attacks Greenland like he says he's going to do, or could do, he hasn't said he's going to, but he says when they ask him whether or not he'd go in militarily, and he says, well, that's not ruled out, basically. He's attacking a NATO. site. He's attacking himself, in a sense. What does he want from Greenland? He says it's for defense. No. NATO has already got an agreement, or Greenland has an agreement with the NATO partners that if the Americans want to come in and establish more military sites in Greenland, they can do that. That was made over 40, 50 years ago, that agreement. So there's no need for him to go in and take it over on the idea of defense with it. What's in Greenland? Well, there's minerals. And with global warming, it's becoming slightly, not majorly, but slightly easier to get at those. And maybe in the future, maybe more so. Because right now they're buried under an ice field kind of a deal. But I don't even think he wants that. What he wants is more territory where he can then spread his wings and spread them towards us in Canada and into Europe. Well, he's constantly making the joke about the 51st state. He's tariffed us to nth degree, and he's tariffing now anybody who gets in the way of him taking over Greenland. They're going to be tariffed for this and that and the other thing and whatnot. He still doesn't get it. Actually, it's not him. It's the American people are still not understanding that tariffs are a tax on the American people. Your goods, your products that come from other countries in the world that are tariffed are going to cost you more. It isn't really hurting the rest of us. Yeah, it's making life a little bit more difficult for industries in Canada.
Yeah, well, I guess what tariffs do too is that if a product becomes more expensive in another country, then they may not buy that product from that country. They may go somewhere else and buy it from somewhere else.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's having more of an effect on the average American than it is on any of the countries they're being tariffed. He's hurting his own people. And we've had this discussion many times before, but a lot of people still don't understand the whole concept of tariffs. And it's not that difficult. Just change the word. It's a tax. It's a tax on the American people. It's on the products that they are buying. They're going to pay, are paying already more for these things. So I did a little thing in it and thought, okay, this is one of the factors that is getting us all upset is, being taken over for us in Canada, but for the Greenland people as well in all of this. And where does he stop? So I put in to the AI and sifted through this. So how realistic is the idea of Trump taking over Greenland? So as of January, the idea of a U.S. takeover of Greenland remains highly unrealistic due to intense opposition from Greenland. Denmark and the broader international community, despite escalating pressure from President Donald Trump, it's still not going to happen, according to this. The current situation is characterized by the following factors: economic and diplomatic pressure, tariff escalation, as we were talking about. President Trump announced he would impose a 10% tariff starting February the 1st on 8 European nations: Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the UK, the Netherlands, and Finland, until a deal for the complete and total purchase of Greenland is reached. These tariffs are scheduled to increase to 25% on June the 1st if no agreement is in place. I say go for it. Like, how many products are coming out of Norway, Sweden, and Denmark to the United States? Wonder what the percentage is of trade there. I don't imagine it's very high. I would say that Germany and the UK and France are probably a little higher, but they're not their sole trading partner. They have Europe. They have the EU for everything. So yeah. Special envoy. Trump has appointed Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry as a special envoy to Greenland to pursue the acquisition. So you send over a henchman. What's he going to do? They're just going to laugh at him and go, no, we're not for sale. We told you that. End of negotiations. Get on the plane. Go back home. Bye-bye. You're not welcome here. Stiff political opposition. Greenland and Denmark. Both governments have repeatedly stated that Greenland is not for sale. Greenlandic Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen stated that when forced to choose between the US and Denmark, Greenland chooses Denmark. Well, yeah, they're Greenlandian. They are more familiar with Scandinavian lifestyle, Denmark, than they would be American, for one thing. And what's he offering to the people of Greenland if he takes them over, if they become a territory of the United States? What's he offering? I haven't heard him say anything about...
There was something floated at that he would give each Greenlandian either $10,000 or $100,000.
You're right. And he thinks that's going to buy people. Well, that's his way of doing things. He thinks money
Conquers all.
conquers all. No. International resistance. Allies, including Canada, the UK, and France, have formally backed Danish sovereignty. Several European nations have even deployed military personnel to Greenland for joint exercises to demonstrate support for its territorial integrity. What he is doing is he's mobilizing military action in Europe because of these words, what he's saying and everything. He thinks he can take the American forces and swoop in and just conquer all. You know, let's see. That happened in the Roman Empire too. How's that working out for them? Something called the fall of the Roman Empire. Think about it. Domestic opposition. Recent polling shows that only 17% to 19% of Americans support acquiring Greenland, while roughly 85% of Greenlanders oppose becoming part of the U.S. Okay, but what's interesting here is only 17 to 19% of Americans support acquiring Greenland. The people of the United States are not for this, and this is what I said at the beginning of all this. It's not the American people that we should turn our ire against. It's the American administration, the Trump government. That's who's doing it. It is not the American people. They talk here about legal and strategic, that's the word I want, barriers. Okay, before we get into that part though, whether Trump can do this legally or not, let's just take a look. I'm sure there are comments here. So let's take a look at those. No, I didn't have the other screen up. I forgot to hit the button. That's okay. Close that out. So let's see, back it up. Let's see. Yeah, Karen says he banked the money under his control. Yes. The bottom line of all of this, it's all about Trump. How much money he can acquire. Oh yeah, and Gene says distraction from the Epstein files. Yeah. But you want to know something? Do the Epstein files really matter? I mean, I guess what does matter is that, and they've already started legal proceedings against him with some of the stuff from the Epstein files that they could find. But they're so bloody redacted and everything. His name is removed from all over the place. You know, yeah, great if there's a group out there that can bring him to justice for these things as a pedophile or whatever. But, you know, as a distraction, I don't think it's working because the Epstein files are not as important as these other issues like Venezuela, Greenland, and ICE, and going in and shooting and killing people, innocent people who are just trying to get away from ICE. That is, we'll come back to that one in a minute. Ruth says he wants Greenland because on a flat map it looks really big. He loves big because he's so small. Yeah, that's true, Ruth. I mean, it's mostly like Greenland was always a misnomer for whoever named it Greenland, because it's not green. It's snowy, icy cold. It's in the Arctic, pretty much. So yeah. Thankfully, Karen says 2 women senators made it illegal to take Greenland. But will he obey the law?
Yeah.
He hasn't so far. So great for them. And I have a sneaky suspicion that the 2 women senators were probably Democrats, because, you know, his own party, the Republicans, don't seem to have any guts whatsoever to stand up against him. I mean, I can't believe that every one of the Republicans doesn't think there's something wrong here. I really don't. But they're afraid of Trump. They'll lose their cushy little position, they think, or whatever. Or he'll sue them, because, you know, that's his other thing he loves to do. He loves to sue people that get in his way or get in his face. Just lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. The only people that are going to win anything out of those is going to be the lawyers. Oh, well, he probably won't pay the lawyers.
Yeah, it's just like you wouldn't pay the Greenlanders either.
Yeah. He doesn't pay. Yeah, Dubrovka, so very stressful for them. It's going to be even more stressful for us as Canadians if he actually does take over Greenland, because we're next. He's going to try with us. We're a little bigger. We might be a little harder to take over, but we don't need that aggravation. Neither do the Greenlandians. Yeah, I agree with you, Karen, too, that Mark Carney is the right man for the times. Yep. John says tariffs are also charged on gifts we send to family in the States. Or not John, Kim says that. Yeah, it's on everything. Denise says, and how about the non-descriptive healthcare plan? How much and in what time frame will be given to each USA? He won't. You know he won't.
Yeah, well, right now, also the Greenlanders, because they're covered under the Danish thing, their healthcare is fully covered. Their education is fully covered.
Yeah.
And they have all kinds of other benefits. If they ended up becoming part of the U.S.,
all that would be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Karen says, wasn't a healthcare plan promised for Friday? Yeah. How'd that work out? Yeah. The day after never, the GOP has had over a decade to come with an alternative to Obamacare. Nothing. Yeah. That's very true. Where'd everything bounce to here? Ooh, so much. There's also charged.
Yeah, 100K.
Oh yeah, there. Donna says, laugh out loud. He offers money, says the man who has been bankrupt 7 times. Yeah, exactly. I seriously think he has a mental health issue. You think? No one has the nerve to get him sectioned. Yeah, of course. Yeah, he is crazy. There's no 2 ways about it. He is certifiably insane. And yet, he's in the highest office of the land and one of the most powerful places on the offices on the face of the planet. Yeah, that's the danger. Artist says, no, he'll deport the people of Greenland. Yeah. And she says, we're so stressed out here in the U.S. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've seen that. I definitely don't blame that you're stressed out. Darcy says, don't trust him when he says he'll pay Greenlanders. I say go for it to tariffs. I hope Denmark stands firm. I think Denmark will stand firm. But, you know, time will tell. He's already mentioned the minerals, so that is definitely behind it. Oh yeah, he wants the minerals. I mean, look, he needs more gold to plaster all over the White House and his redecorating, and his ballroom. Linda says it's very sad that so many Americans still believe in him about the tariffs. Too many heads in the sand. Yeah, but you know that this is. I don't want to insult Americans, but let's face it, the American education system sucks. So I don't need to say
and not only
more about
that,
it.
if they listen to him and say, you know, like he says something and they listen to him and they assume that it's true. So
yeah. And also there's a lot of people in the United States who need help financially. They can't afford things, and he makes it sound like he's going to do something for them. Well, aren't they figuring out that he's been in power now for a year? What has he done for you lately? You know, when's that coming? He always has his little timeline. Oh, in 2 weeks. Big announcement. 2 weeks. Biggest announcement ever. All that kind of stuff. 2 weeks comes. No mention of that again, or he has another deadline on something else. Ruth says, you need to blame the GOP. No one in the Senate House will take him on. He has unchecked free reign. Yes, that's true. But you want to know something else? I also blame the Democrats. Too little, too late. You know, they blew it with Biden. They knew Biden wasn't well. And so finally, they turned around and they got Kamala in there and the whole bit. But she had, like, she just wrote a book, 107 days to prep for an election, which isn't enough because, of course, in American politics, they spend 2 years prepping for it. So, yeah. And they also didn't really pick, in my opinion, the United States was not ready for a black woman as president, unfortunately. So they dropped the ball. They dropped the ball. And now what are they doing to pick it up? They don't have the power. The only power they're going to be able to have is they've got to win the primaries or whatever they call it, midterms. I guess they're the midterms. But that doesn't happen until November? Something like that. So long. If it happens, because he can turn around and he loves to declare that things are national security emergency. And so he writes this little executive orders. Well, if he turns around and says it's national security, it's a national emergency, and he puts in whatever they would call it, or whatever the Americans call it, which is basically
martial
law or something like that, he'll suspend all elections. And that's what dictators do. Fascist dictators, that's exactly what they do. So then what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Are the people going to rise up? They may. And when they rise up, is this going to lead to a civil war? I mean, it's not like Americans are unfamiliar with the concept of a civil war. It's been a while. So who knows? It's going to be an interesting year, to say the least. Barb says, did you hear the latest with ICE? A group of them went to Mexico restaurant for a meal at closing time, then followed the workers home and detained them as immigrants. Yeah, these ICE characters, okay? It's very apparent that these people they've put into the ICE are, they're no better than wannabe cops, what do they call them? Mall cops, except they have guns. And I read a statistic that said the vast majority of the people who have been hired as ICE do not even have a high school education, or the highest education is high school. Okay, so there you go. Let's give a stupid person a gun. That's going to work out well. And we've seen the results of that, haven't we? Things are moving too much. And as says, if there's a war, then he goes on to be president. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't have to worry about another election. And he's already told us that, hasn't he? He already said, well, if there is another election, you've got me now. You don't need another election. Like, oh, God, that's what's so wrong on so many levels. Yep, Mary Jane says, you have to get out and vote at the midterm elections. Yes. And right back to my original thought here about people sticking their head in the sand. I would hope, okay, it's one thing you're not watching the news, but it's another thing if you turn around with an attitude that my vote won't count anyway, so what does it matter? No. You have to get out there and vote. And obviously, you know which way you need to vote, unless you enjoy you can't afford anything, no health care plan of any sort, being beaten up, insulted, shot at, killed, not allowed to exercise the rights that are in your constitution. Yeah, don't vote. It's easy. Linda says, there was a funny video that came out of Canada about Canada buying Minnesota. We're already so much alike, and many Minnesotans already have Canada electricity. Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but I did hear there's several videos out there about, us buying the border states and things like that. Obviously a joke, because we would not be doing that. Colleen is here. She says, trying to sew and listen, mistake. Denise says, what will Americans have to lose? To lose for him to get 700 billion to buy the place? Oh, he won't buy it. Yeah, I'm assuming you're referring to Greenland. He won't buy it.
Yeah, there won't be any exchange of
There won't
money.
be any exchange of money or anything like that. No, that won't happen. And Rachel says, was it true that there were less than half the population turned out the last elections? Yes. Yes. They had a very poor turnout, and that is one of the reasons why he got into power. Because people stuck their head in the sand. Well, what does it matter? It's all rigged anyways. It won't matter if we vote or not. Well, that's a defeatist attitude. And I can understand the defeatist attitude. I mean, especially right now, Americans are being bombarded like crazy. You know, like the country is not well loved in the rest of the world. And the rest of the world is starting to turn their back. You know, slowly but surely, we're turning our back on the Americans right now economically. Look at, we're making deals with China now. Our prime minister comes from the financial world, not from the political world. He knows what he's doing. And yeah, our businesses are looking for other markets. The American market was too easy for too long for them. So, and the Europeans are interested. The Chinese are interested. And other parts of the world are interested in what we have to offer in terms of our manufacturing opportunities, the things that we make, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, and other countries are like us as well. We're not the only ones doing this. We're turning away from American trade. It's a new world order that's happening. Let's see. Buying Greenland is like North Korea funding nukes.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure the analogy there.
No.
Need more information on that one. Denise says, no shame when he accepted Nobel Peace Prize medal. Okay, let's talk about that ludicrous situation. So, the opposition leader for the Venezuela dictator government that Trump overthrew, she goes into exile into the Scandinavian countries for a while. They give her the Nobel Peace Prize, which I think was a mistake on the Nobel Peace Prize committee for that. I think that belittled the whole idea of the prize, what it fundamentally stood for. She comes back and says, oh, I'd like Trump to have it. The Nobel Peace Prize people said, no, it's been awarded to you. We made up our mind, our decision. So she gives it to him. He takes it. He does not have a Nobel Peace Prize. He has a plaque with the medal stuck in it. All that is a symbolic representation of the Peace Prize. He has the physical evidence of it. He does not have it. She still has it. And Nobel committee said, yeah, it's non-transferable. Now, there's money involved with it, too. Didn't hear if she gave him the money. I think it's something like $10,000. Or no, it's more than $10,000. It's $100. It's a big amount of money. Might be millions. I don't know. They said that the recipient can do whatever they want with the money, the prize money, but they cannot transfer the Peace Prize, the medal thing, at all. Why did she do that? She wants to be in his good graces because he already cleaned out one dictator. She wants to be his puppet. She figures she will gain power in her own country with Trump behind her. She's a stupid person. She's really stupid. So, maybe it wasn't a bad thing that Trump went in there and did what he did. Just saying. Cheryl says, I emailed my Democratic congressman this week and asked why he isn't more vocal. It asks for a response, waiting for that. You want to know something good for you? More people need to do that, and you need to keep at it. You need to keep flooding them with messages, with questions. Flood them, flood them, flood them. They need, because they're stupid people, okay? Politicians are basically stupid people. They go into politics, you've heard me say this before, not for the people. They go into politics for their own interests. They try to disguise those interests by saying, we're doing this for you. And it doesn't matter what country you're in or who the politician is or whatever. They all are cut from the same cloth. Great work if you can get it. Okay? So flood them. Linda says, when his mouth is moving, he's lying. Oh, yeah. Of course he is. Many ICE are pardoned. Yeah, they're above the law. There they are. They're armed. They can shoot you. And they've already proven that several times.
They say they are pardoned January 26ers in January 6th.
Oh, yeah. Oh, those were, yeah, the ICE are pardoned. Oh. I hadn't heard that, but that makes a certain amount of sense. Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Phyllis says, Teresa down under quilting. She is good.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's a suggestion.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll write that one down. Teresa down under quilting. Okay, I'll check that one out. Thanks, Teresa. That's a little off topic, but that's okay. Yeah, Shadow One says, well, we have midterm elections. If he can figure out a way to avoid it, he will. He will. He doesn't want them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand how America would take that.
No, this is the scary part. And Denise says they're already discussing the possibility of him suspending the midterm elections. Okay, this is where your Congress people need to get involved, and you need to let them know that you do not want your basic right to be, which is a constitutional right, as far as I know, in the United States Constitution. I would assume that it would be there, that you have the right to vote. I mean, after all, didn't the United States break away from Britain and have a war with them for independence because they were against taxation with no representation? Yeah. Catherine says Peace Prize award approximately $1 million US. Well, that's a big chunk of change. Didn't hear that she offered that to Trump too with it. Yeah. Yeah, Cheryl, I agree. I think a lot of us feel very helpless. But what I'm saying is, don't let yourself feel so helpless that you give up. You go into despair. I can't do anything about it. No, don't do that. That's what he would want. That plays into his hands right there. If people just say, I can't take this anymore, nothing I do is going to make a difference. Maybe something you do as a single person doesn't seem like it did anything, but if other people are of the same mind, it grows. It grows. You know, think of the protests in the 1960s and that. Think of the civil rights protests. Think of the Vietnam protests and things. They did have an effect. Well, why can't that work here too? I mean, you got to have hope. Thanks, Susan. So, yeah, so let's go back to what this is saying here. Okay, so we did all that. Mm-hmm. Okay, then I thought, take a look at how realistic is the idea of Trump taking over Canada. Basically, what I found is saying it's not going to be that easy to take over Greenland, but we're a different ball game. We're our second largest landmass in the world as far as countries go. We have 40 million people. I mean, in comparison to the United States population, it's small, but it's a hell of a lot bigger than 50,000 something people. So, yeah. In 2026, the idea of Donald Trump taking over Canada remains a subject of intense rhetorical and economic tension, though experts consider actual military annexation to be highly unlikely. Throughout 2025 and into early 2026, the Trump administration has used annexation rhetoric as a tool for economic leverage, particularly regarding trade and border security. Okay, so it's what it's saying here is you're not going to walk. Our country is vast. To take over our country militarily, you're going to have a lot of battle fronts on your hands. This is one time where the world's, what used to be called the world's longest undefended border, might work in Canada's favor. It's not, we're not a little country. You're going to spread your forces out. Of course, you know, they'd be using airplanes and that. But the chances of it being military are slim. It says former military leaders and geopolitical experts describe U.S. military action against Canada as off the table due to the extreme unpredictability, lack of strategic benefit, and the deep integration of the two nations' militaries and intelligence services. Trump himself stated in early 2025 that he preferred economic force over military force for his expansionist goals. Yeah. That's where the war will come. It's in economic. And we've seen him already try this with the tariffs, not working well. In that, of course, he'll never admit to that. So economic pressure. The primary takeover strategy has been the use of aggressive tariffs, including 25% across-the-board duties and targeted levies on steel and aluminum to pressure Canada into concessions on immigration, drug trafficking, and trade. These measures led to a trying year in 2025, but Canada has thus far weathered the economic sabotage without surrendering sovereignty. Yeah, and quite frankly, as a Canadian citizen, I have not seen any kind of real hardship because of the tariffs on me personally. Now, in order for these things to have an effect that Trump wants to have, people have to be hurting. We are not hurting in Canada. Some businesses are hurting a little bit, bottom line of their profits. They were businesses that should have thought about diversifying their portfolio long before any of this happened, and they didn't, because it was too easy to deal with the Americans. But for the average Canadian, sure, prices on certain things have gone up slightly, but that's not necessarily because of tariffs. That has everything to do with inflation, general inflation. Now, Americans, on the other hand, I think they are being hurt, but I think it's only starting to come to the surface now how badly they're being hurt, because their prices that he promised were going to go down on food and stuff like that really haven't. They've gone up. So yeah, that's not working out, this economic pressure thing. Then there's the legal and constitutional barriers. Annexation is illegal, and under international law, UN Charter Article 2.4 would require massive constitutional changes in both countries. In Canada, joining the U.S. would require the consent of the House of Commons, the Senate, and 2/3 of the provinces, an outcome that has zero political support in 2026. In the U.S., adding a state requires a 2/3 majority in the Senate, which Trump does not currently possess. Of course, that's considering that Trump doesn't think he's above the law. And we've seen already that he does think that. So this is where the lawmakers, the Congress, the Senate of the United States need to step in and curtail him. So, yeah, that's why the midterms are so bloody important. Because in the midterms, all goes well, the Democrats could take over at least one of the houses, if not both houses, of the United States government. So yeah, another reason why it's important that when that comes up, that people vote as well. Because I dare say there's probably an awful lot of Republicans out there, people who supported Trump in this election, might be having second thoughts about that. At least the ones that have half a brain. I'm not going to say they have a total brain because they put him in the first place. So that was not a smart thing. Then they talk here about 51st state rhetoric. Yeah, okay, we're over that. But we have Kuzma coming up. And he's not going to renegotiate Kuzma. He's just going to walk away from that. That's really not going to hurt us that much. Because he doesn't want to deal with us anyways. So he's got his tariffs on there. So we can continue to deal with Mexico. I don't know how much we deal with Mexico. I don't really know that. for sure. But, he is going to walk away from that. Big deal. Canadian response. The threats triggered a surge in Canadian nationalism, a significant shift in public opinion. 64% of Canadians held a negative view of the U.S., the highest in decades. Yeah, and so we're not coming there. We're not coming in to spend our tourist dollars in the United States. We've already talked about that before. You know why. Also now, can't anybody that's a Canadian, we don't know whether we're going to be stopped in the border, pictures taken, fingerprinted, and possibly turned away from it. Not really worth our effort. There's other places in the world to see. Places for me I'd rather see. That's why we're going to Japan. So, yeah. Direct action fears. Despite the low likelihood, a January 2026 poll indicated that 1 in 3 Canadians believe the U.S. might attempt direct action to control the country. They didn't define direct action. A fear, I can't say that word. A fear by the U.S. seizure of former Venezuelan leader. Yeah. Okay, well, we did see that. But our prime minister is not a fascist, is not a dictator. We are not being governed by a fascist government in Canada. We have all our democratic rights still in place. Our Constitution is strong. So, yeah. But it's worrisome. Because, it's sort of like your best friend sticking a knife in your back at something. Because that's what the states were. The states were our best buddy. Our best friend, had been for years and years, and he's overturned that. But again, I want to reiterate, it's not the American people that are our enemies. It's your government. Now, they talk about Americans fighting back for Trump, what you can do. Well, civil rights litigation is already happening. State level resistance. They've got congressional oversight. They have all these things. Then grassroots, mass protests. We've seen that. Community patrols. We've seen that. The whistleblowing and all of that kind of thing when ICE are around. Labor and veteran activism. Yeah, there's all kinds of things happening in the United States. But again, depending on which news outlet you're listening to, if you're listening, how much of this do you know? The American people, I like to say, and I think this is positive, are starting to fight back at Trump. Keep it up. Join in if you haven't already done it. Don't keep your head in the sand. If you are old and decrepit, you can still write. You can still send emails to your congressman to show your support financially and what do they call it? I was going to say metaphysical, but that's not the right word. Philosophically with it. Like, you can still do things. Don't fall back and let other people do it or think that people are doing it. So why do you need to do it? You need to do it. You really need to do it. And then they talk about declining polls and everything. Yeah, like Trump's approval is way, way down. Lowest ever of any president. He likes to say it's the highest of any because he always flips these things around, right? And Americans don't like anti-tariff because it's starting to dawn on Americans slowly how this is affecting their quality of life. So it's there. And I choose to look at these things that are here as hope. And I think Americans should look at it as hope too. But carry on fighting. And also, I listened to one podcast from a Canadian who was talking about a lot of this stuff as well. And what she said was this: we as Canadians cannot be complacent to any of this as well. If we have a platform, we need to speak out. And that's what I'm doing here. Will I lose subscribers? Likely. I don't care. I don't care. I am putting my money where my mouth is, and I am doing what I can do to support the average American person to get rid of this tyrant who is putting our world into a chaotic situation, to say the least. So that's why I'm here. If you do not approve of what I have said, and I'm not asking for your approval, I'm asking for you to think about what I've said today. I'm asking you to consider what I have said and what I have read to you from that. I'm not trying to win you over, although that would be nice. But it's my opinion. You do with it what you will do with it. You have to make up your own mind with it. But if you want to keep your head in the sand, if you don't want to keep up with current affairs, if you want to turn off that which upsets you because you just don't want to hear it anymore, that's fine. That's your choice. But when you're living in a state that is run by the military, when your rights and your freedoms under your Constitution have been removed from you, when you can no longer afford to put food on your table or clothing on your kids or afford your shelter, or you get sick and you can't afford medical care, think about how you contributed to that situation. Yeah. So let's just finish up by seeing what other people have said here, and then we'll move on and out because our time is up. So Ruth says, keep in mind that the Supreme Court has given him total immunity while he is in office. There are currently no guard rules. Well, and he also, didn't he appoint the Republican Party, appoint a vast majority of the number of the judges, the Supreme Court judges too. So they are his little trolls. Yeah. Who is the hell is in charge? Don't know. Trump, I guess. Arta says, yes, we here in the U.S. must stand up for each other and fight this. We will all suffer if we don't. I'm in my late 70s and I protest every chance I get. And I think that's a good thing, Arta. Karen says, at least he's an international criminal that can't even travel to his Scottish golf course. True. But that doesn't seem to stop him from doing whatever he wants to do. And Ruth says, the economic or affordability challenges are impacting the middle and low income individuals. Thanks to the big, beautiful bill, the wealthy and the top 10% are living large and benefiting. Yes, because that is who he's for, his rich buddies. Okay, so anyways, I felt that this needed to be said. We are not going to spend every live going on about this. But as things come up that I feel we need to speak out about, then we will, but won't be as intense as today's was. But I did warn you. I did. So no surprise. So anyways, yep. Next week, new topics, whatever. Remember, if you've got ideas for So Chatty, we'd love to hear them. If you've got ideas for speakers for the retreat, please send them to me. That will be a great help and everything. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of the week. And if you're in a cold climate, I hope it's warmer for you. If you're in a warm climate, lucky you. Okay, we'll see you all later.